I've pretty much been a fan of the Megaman Battle Network series when I played through 5 and 6 as a kid, and while I haven't really played the other titles as much as 5 and 6, or haven't really touched them, the first one was one of the ones I just never straight up touched, and with this video, I'm going to change that. And frankly, after the announcement of the Battle Network collection, really had me interested in playing the other titles. And while this video is a little bit far out of the release of that collection, I already did start a playthrough on my Wii U, so I'll probably eventually play the first game on the collection just for multiplayer's sake. But with that, let's get into my first like, that being the gameplay. And while it's the most simple version of the system, not to say the other games aren't kinda simple, but at least the other ones have more customization, I still think it's fun here regardless. It's the usual gameplay by just deleting the viruses either via the chips or your buster. And frankly, it did kind of throw me off a little bit to see everything from your buster to the viruses deal a lot more damage, because the damage output in this game is insane. I also think for the most part, the dungeons here are pretty fun. The only one I can think that would be annoying is the Elect Man one without a guide, but the other ones I found to be at least kind of fun. My favorites were Color Man's and Fire Man's stages, and while they can kind of take a bit to finish, I never really got through both of them. The graphics here are also pretty nice, both the overworld sprites and the one in battle. The style kind of reminded me of the Sky one, which I also think is nice. I think the only downside is that it's similar to the Sky one with the coloring stuff, where it kind of looks kind of muddy to me. I like the more colorful sprites of the later games, but then again, at the same time, the sprites still all good and it's detailed for the system, so at least there's that. And overall, I had fun with this entry. Its gameplay is still solid and some really good moments in dungeons. And while not everything is perfect, I think it's a fine first entry, and I know the later entries expand on what this one did, like with the characters and with the gameplay. But regardless, there's some stuff that I just didn't like, one of which is the pacing. It's insanely fast. It's pretty much just dungeon after dungeon with no real in between. And while some of the later games have random fetch quests where you just travel the net for some random event to prolong the game, I feel some of the major events could have been extended, like maybe have World 3 just attack the net for some reason, which I also found odd that the net was used like 2 or 3 times during the main game. It was also kind of odd that there wasn't a whole lot of character interaction outside like the main story, which kind of sucked since, a lot of the times when they did talk, it was just about whatever current thing was happening, and I kind of wish that we got to see more of like his friends just hanging out, I also found the gameplay to be pretty simple, and while I can get why, it's still kind of lackluster. It's the first game and it shows, since you can't really do anything else with Megaman other than shoot the buster and use chips. And while the customization for your folder is nice, those two things are the only things you can do with this entry. And I'm really glad, starting with Megaman Battle Network 2, they had style change, which can kind of change up your gameplay, and then Battle Network 4, 5, and 6 have like the whole cross-soul stuff, which again makes the gameplay a lot more unique. And I also think the balancing in this game is kind of a bit out there. You and the viruses, I feel, do a lot more damage than I was expecting, as I mentioned earlier. I feel like I got a lot more cheesy deaths here, since the viruses can kill you quite fast, and while you can get more armor and HP, I still feel the damage output with how some of the later combo of viruses can get really annoying. I feel like the bosses can be a bit more manageable, but still can be really annoying if you're just not really paying attention, because after every battle you do end up healing like all your health back, so I can kind of get why maybe like with the bosses you just don't really pay attention, you just get hit a whole lot. While that is kind of just a me thing, it's just, again, I feel like it should have been toned down a little bit. And for me, at least, when I went to go back to play the other Battle Network game, some of the stuff here kind of just made me forget, oh yeah, this was only a thing in the first game. And frankly, those are my only real issues with this entry. There's not a whole lot. The game's a lot shorter, and definitely there's not a whole lot going on with this one. And while there's other minor stuff here and there, like how little the net was used, which kind of bothered me, it wasn't as bad, I feel, since the game was short, but at the same time I felt they could maybe extended the net usage a little bit more, because at least the other ones do it. But at the same time, it is kind of really weird, dumb, annoying fetch quests, but at the same time it's like the game's really short, you just do dungeon after dungeon, so maybe it's better with 3, who knows. And honestly, at least with the first entry, they kind of did expand on a lot of stuff with the later entries, like especially the gameplay, because stuff like 3, 5, and 6 I ended up really enjoying with that stuff, so at least there's that. And For me, I probably would recommend some of the later entries over this one if you really do want to play Battle Network, because this one's just, again, not a whole lot going on with it, and I feel it's just the most boring one, sadly. But again, I feel like if you just want to see how the series got started, you can just play this one after playing like 6 or 3 or something like that. But regardless, I still think it's a fine game, and I really want to hear what you guys ended up really liking about this entry. So of course, let me know in the comments below. And I know this video is definitely a lot shorter than a lot of my other ones, just because I feel the Battle Network games are just a lot shorter and there's not really a whole lot to go over with them. But same thing as always, I will go over my likes and dislikes before the video ends. Likes, gameplay, for the most part pretty fun dungeons and pretty nice graphics. Dislikes, insanely fast pacing, not a whole lot of customization, so just most simple gameplay, and the balancing can kinda get a little bit crazy. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, sub, and also follow my Twitter link down below. Thank you all for watching, and see you guys later.